Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really cutting through the noise to get straight to the insights on something pretty fundamental. How your beliefs create your reality. It sounds big, I know.
It does, yeah.
But what we're doing here is, pulling out the key takeaways from the sources you've shared, giving you a shortcut really to understanding and maybe using this idea.
It's a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
And while it feels very current, especially in self-help circles and all that, its roots go way back, centuries actually. Fundamentally, it's about how the truths we hold, deep down. About the world, sure, but mostly about ourselves. How those directly influence, everything. Our experiences, the outcomes we see.
Like an operating system.
Exactly. Think of it like your brain's own unique operating system. It's always running, kind of in the background, subtly dictating the whole show.
Okay, that internal operating system idea, that really clicks. So to get a handle on this, what exactly are these beliefs we're talking about?
Right.
Because they're not just like random thoughts, are they?
No, not at all. They're much deeper. Think ingrained ideas, convictions, assumptions we make, often picked up without us even clocking it.
Where do they come from then?
All over.
Yeah.
Parents, teachers, friends, the culture we grow up in, and definitely our own past experiences, big ones and small ones. And the really wild part, so many of them are totally subconscious, just running the show from behind the curtain.
So like things you hear growing up.
Precisely. Think about common phrases.
Yeah.
Maybe money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
Right? Or even something like life is hard.
Yeah.
If those get really embedded, they don't just, echo in your head, they actively start shaping your financial choices later, or how you even approach a tough situation. But the flip side is true too. If you're consistently told you can do anything you set your mind to, well, that builds a powerful, empowering belief.
Right.
And that can absolutely fuel ambition, make someone more willing to take risks. It can change their whole path.
Wow. The implications are pretty huge then. So you mentioned they shape things. Can you elaborate a bit on how they actually work? Like how do they filter what we see or do? Because that feels like the crucial part, right?
Absolutely. That's where the rubber meets the road. Beliefs essentially act like a lens.
A lens.
Yeah, a lens we view everything through. They literally determine what information we even notice in the first place, then how we interpret events, and based on that interpretation, what actions we feel we can or should take.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure. Let's say someone deeply believes I'm just not good at public speaking.
Okay.
Their brain, almost unconsciously, will start highlighting every little stumble they make, every nervous pause. It magnifies those moments. And at the same time, it'll probably downplay or even completely ignore times they actually spoke clearly or confidently.
So it looks for proof.
Exactly. It's like our minds are wired to confirm what they already think is true, which of course just reinforces the original belief. It's a cycle.
But you miss things that don't fit the belief. Yeah.
You absolutely can. Opportunities, evidence to the contrary.
Yeah.
They might just not register because the filter screens them out. It's pretty insidious when you think about it.
Yeah, it really is how our minds kind of protect their own stories, whether those stories help us or not. So given how these filters work, what are some of the really common beliefs you see tripping people up? Things maybe they don't even realize are holding them back.
Oh, that's a great question. One of the biggest and definitely most limiting that comes up again and again is simply, I'm not good enough.
Ah, the classic.
It really is. And it's not just about, massive life goals. It shows up in everyday stuff. Hesitations. Someone might think they aren't smart enough for a promotion or talented enough to try a new hobby or, heck, even just to speak up in a meeting. We see it constantly with people learning English, for example. They might get stuck on, my accent is terrible, or I'll never sound like a native speaker.
Right.
And that single belief, which might feel small, can become this huge wall stopping them from practicing, from actually making progress.
Oh, I've definitely seen that play out. I'm not good enough.
It's just
I'm so sneaky.
It sets you up for failure before you even start, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If that's your internal script, you've kind of already decided the ending.
You really have. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But let's flip it. Think about a powerful positive belief, like every challenge is an opportunity to learn.
Okay.
If you genuinely adopt that perspective, what happens when you hit a setback? Your whole response changes.
How so?
Instead of just feeling discouraged or wanting to quit, your first reaction might be curiosity. You start asking, okay, what can I learn here? What went wrong? How can I do it better next time?
So it shifts the focus.
Completely. That mental shift totally changes your emotional state, your motivation, and, crucially, the results you get down the line.
It's amazing how just changing that internal angle can unlock things. Makes you wonder how many daily frustrations are really just these subtle beliefs running the show.
I actually had something similar myself when I was first digging into the more technical side of producing this deep dive, editing the software.
Yeah.
I really had the strong belief that I just wasn't tech savvy enough. It felt true. And it was a huge mental block. I kept putting it off, procrastinating like crazy.
Yeah.
But then I consciously decided to reframe it. I started telling myself, okay, I am capable of learning new, complex things. I can figure this out. Maybe I'll even enjoy it.
And what happened?
Well, once that started to feel true, the whole thing shifted. The massive, daunting task just became a series of smaller steps. I watched tutorials. I asked people for help without feeling stupid.
Right.
And suddenly, the path forward wasn't blocked anymore. It was still challenging, don't get me wrong, but that new belief allowed me to actually push through it.
That's a perfect example. And it really highlights that these beliefs aren't just about, climbing Mount Everest or something. They operate in the mundane, everyday stuff, too. Well, someone who constantly thinks I'm always late, they might subconsciously dawdle or not leave enough buffer time. They just keep proving themselves right. Whereas if you genuinely start to cultivate the belief, I am punctual and organized, you naturally start tweaking your habits to align with that. You check traffic, you leave earlier. The shifts can seem tiny day to day, but the overall impact on your life, it's profound.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of these big, pervasive ideas, we mentioned cultural beliefs earlier, specifically the American dream. You think that one, even though it sounds positive, might have a kind of hidden complexity or downside we should maybe think about?
Oh, it absolutely can. It's a great example of a powerful cultural belief with layers. On the one hand, yes, the American dream, this idea that anyone can achieve success and prosperity through hard work and determination. It's undeniably a huge motivator.
For sure.
It has fueled incredible optimism, ambition, innovation. It's powerful stuff. But there's a potential flip side. Well, if that's the dominant narrative, it can inadvertently lead to the belief that if someone hasn't achieved a certain conventional standard of success, it must be entirely their own fault.
Right. Lack of effort or something.
Exactly. It can create this immense internal pressure, a crushing sense of personal failure, even for people who are actually doing okay. It can also subtly promote this kind of relentless workaholic mindset, where being busy is seen as the ultimate virtue, sometimes at the expense of well-being.
That makes sense.
And it's not just the American dream, of course. Think about cultures with a strong emphasis on the collective good. That fosters unity, which is great, but maybe it sometimes suppresses individual ambition.
Could do.
Or cultures where a belief in fate or destiny is really strong. How does that shape choices compared to a culture that emphasizes absolute free will and personal agency? These big cultural stories, they run deep. They shape our reality in ways we often don't even consciously notice.
So, wrapping this all together, what's the big takeaway for you listening right now? It really seems to be that your beliefs, whether the personal ones you picked up or these bigger cultural ones, they are actively, constantly constructing your experience of the world. And this is the really empowering part, you're not just stuck with them. You're not just a passive recipient of whatever life throws at you.
Not at all.
You actually have this incredible power to look at your beliefs, to question them, and crucially, to choose to change the ones that aren't working for you anymore.
That's the core of it.
It's like realizing you can reprogram that internal operating system. You can take control of your inner world to influence your outer world. It's not about judging beliefs as right or wrong, is it? It's more about asking, does this belief serve me? Or is it holding me back?
Exactly. So the fundamental insight really is just how profoundly these often invisible, deeply held beliefs shape, everything. Your daily feelings, your actions, your long-term path.
Yeah.
It's much deeper than we usually think.
So maybe consider this. You aren't just passively living out your circumstances. You're actually an active architect of your future.
So the question becomes, what belief, maybe just one, might you take a closer look at today? How could even a small, subtle shift in that internal operating system, how could that create a really profound, maybe even expansive change in your reality? Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources, articles, notes, research, and really boil it down to the key insights. It's basically your shortcut to getting properly informed. And today, wow, we're tackling something huge. It really gets to the heart of, how we experience everything. How your beliefs create your reality.
Yeah.
We've got some fantastic material here, really insightful stuff, packed with psychological wisdom. So let's unpack it.
Yeah, and what's really striking about this material, I think, is how these ideas, belief, reality, they sound kind of abstract, right? But they're not just philosophy. The sources really hammer this home. They are incredibly practical and powerful, like everyday stuff. So our mission, our deep dive today is to really explore that connection, how the stuff you believe inside, how that actually shapes what you see and do outside.
That's a perfect way to put it. It almost sounds, I don't know, too simple when you say it like that. But the insights here are actually quite deep. So, okay, let's break down what the sources mean by belief, what they mean by reality. And then the really important part, how this actually works in, day-to-day life, right? Let's ground ourselves first. The basics, definitions, because getting this right is kind of crucial. So belief. The material we looked at defines it as a strong feeling that something exists or is true. It's that gut feeling, that conviction you hold, that internal knowing.
Right. And then you've got reality, often defined as the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them. But here's the kicker, and maybe it's a bit counterintuitive. These two things, belief and reality, they aren't really separate silos. They're constantly talking to each other, interacting. It's dynamic. So it's not just about what is objectively out there. It's also very much about what you perceive is out there.
Okay, so they're intertwined. Belief inside, reality outside. But how do they actually connect? How does that feeling inside make waves outside?
Well, that brings us to this really powerful idea. The sources call it the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And it's not just, a cute phrase. It's a real psychological thing. It's where a prediction, maybe based on a belief you hold really deeply, actually causes itself to become true, directly or indirectly. It works through this kind of positive feedback loop, right? Between what you believe and how you then act.
Wow. Okay. That's really interesting. So it's not just about trying something. It's the belief behind the trying. Like the example, if you keep saying you'll fail, it might become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Can you dig into that a bit more? How does that belief actually, mess with your effort or even what you see?
Absolutely. And it's subtle. Often. The material points out it's not always about just giving up effort entirely. Sometimes that core belief, like I'm going to fail at this, it acts like a filter. It creates perceptual blind spots. Your mind might literally just gloss over opportunities that don't fit the narrative, or ignore data that contradicts the belief, or downplay small successes. So you end up only noticing or giving weight to the stuff that confirms your negative belief, which naturally makes the failure seem inevitable, even if objectively other paths were possible. It's powerful, and often we don't even realize it's happening.
That completely reframes it, doesn't it? That internal story you tell yourself isn't just commentary. It's more like the script dictating what you pay attention to, what actions you take, and ultimately what results you get. And the sources, they hopefully break these narratives down into two main types: limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs.
Exactly. So a limiting belief, essentially, is an internal rule you set that holds you back. A conviction about yourself, or maybe the world, that restricts what you think is possible for you. The sources give this really common, powerful example, the idea that I'm not good enough. That one's huge. And it's described as insidious, which is a great word for it because it often stops you before you even start. It hinders progress, but quietly, I remember I used to have one myself about learning languages. For years, I genuinely believed I just couldn't learn a new language. It wasn't based on much evidence, looking back, but that belief meant I'd put off trying, tell myself it was too difficult, avoid situations where I might stumble. It was fascinating, actually, watching how that thought directly led to not taking action.
Wow. So it wasn't just a passive thought. It actively shaped your behavior, preventing you from even getting started. That's powerful. And then on the flip side, you have the empowering beliefs. These are the ones that give you strength or confidence, maybe a sense of control, like believing in your potential. The sources say that kind of belief could drive you to take risks.
Precisely. And what the material really shines a light on is how sometimes the shift between limiting and empowering can be quite subtle. Even just changing how you phrase something in your head, reframing it, can make a huge difference. Like with the language thing, I consciously reframed it. Instead of I can't learn languages, I started thinking, okay, I'm capable of learning new things. This is just another new thing. It didn't mean I suddenly became fluent overnight, obviously, but it unlocked the willingness to actually put in consistent effort. It changed the starting point.
That's a perfect lead in to the next point, how these beliefs actually play out. The sources talk about them almost like internal if-then calculations. Makes sense, right? If you truly believe I'm bad at learning new things, then, Well, the logical next thought is, why bother putting in the effort? It's like our brain sets up these little feedback loops, predicting our own actions based on these core beliefs.
Exactly. It shows the direct line from belief to action.
Or inaction. And the sources mention different kinds of these mental frameworks. They're the ones about what we see as real or likely outcomes. If you believe you're terrible at public speaking, then you'll probably avoid any chance to practice, which of course just reinforces the belief you're bad at it.
Right, the loop closes. And then there's the other kind, the more hypothetical or maybe aspirational framework, like the example from the material. If you are always told you can do anything you set your mind to, then that empowering belief might make you take risks you'd otherwise avoid. It lets us imagine different outcomes based on different starting beliefs. Yeah, and what's really key there is how that internal framework, your personal if-then rules about possibility, directly shapes your actual willingness. Your willingness to try, to push forward, or to pull back. It's not just about objective reality. It's about the mental models we're operating with.
And thinking about those models, this leads to another interesting point from the sources. It's about language. Not just how we talk to others, but the precision of our internal talk. The little words we use in our own heads, things like, I can't do this versus maybe I'm finding this tricky right now. Or even just being clear, is it a belief I hold or something I actively believe? The sources hint that these aren't just minor details. They're almost like tiny programming commands that either reinforce or start to challenge those core beliefs. They subtly shift our internal reality. It's kind of about consciously crafting an internal script that actually helps you rather than hinders you.
That's a really profound point. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does the precision of your own internal language, the specific words you choose for your thoughts, actually shape your personal reality day to day? It's not just what you believe, perhaps, but how you articulate that belief to yourself, how intentionally you hold it.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? I think this deep dive has really shown that beliefs, they aren't just fuzzy thoughts floating around. They are, like the source kept saying, powerful tools you're using all the time, whether you realize it or not, to shape your world.
Yeah, zooming out, it really comes down to agency, doesn't it? It's about realizing you can take control of your inner world to influence your outer world. That's the core message. You have the power to choose your beliefs more consciously, to challenge the ones that aren't working for you anymore, and to actively nurture the ones that help you grow and thrive.
That's such a vital takeaway. And it leaves us, and you, with a really powerful question to mull over. Think about this. What is one strong belief you hold about yourself? Maybe one you haven't really questioned before, and then ask, how is that belief influencing the reality you experience every day? And what might change if you decided consciously to try and reframe it?